Hi, this is Phil, Dirty Driveway. Common question I get asked, how do we clean block paving? As you can see, this block paved driveway is quite mossy, quite a lot of weeds. Let's have a quick look. Little pan there. So to be honest, the best way to get rid of the weeds and the moss, I found anyway, is to use a turbo nozzle on the end of your lance, and it looks something similar to this little kiddie here. Basically what it is, you've got a nozzle inside a chamber and it spins really fast. It's like a 0 degree, so it'd be a pencil jet nozzle. If you just spray the trigger, it would be a pencil jet, very fine jet, and obviously with the pressure it spins very fast. It's able to rip through weeds, moss, pulls everything out. So basically what I'm going to show you is how we get rid of moss and weeds. I'm going to try and do this one-handed, so please excuse any camera shake. Okay, here we go. The pressure washer's running. It's running about half throttle. It's about 2,500 psi. So there you have it, quite quickly. You can see it's cut through all the weeds, cut through the moss. Turbo nozzles are a little bit more aggressive on the sand lines, but sand's going to be replaced afterwards anyway. And as you can see from me, block paving is very messy. Okay, so just switch the wash off for a minute. I've been going about an hour now. You can see the amount of muck the turbo nozzle pulls out of the driveway. It's not been rinsed down yet or anything, but it's, you can clearly see the difference. There's all the muck, the moss, the weeds. What you normally do is just scrape it up, put it into a bag and take it away. Unless there's anywhere else you can put it. You can see how clear the joint lines are. So yeah, the turbo nozzle works really well. I say it's a bit more aggressive on the joint lines, but really you won't shift the weeds and the moss with a conventional nozzle. It doesn't tend to reach deep enough into the joints, especially if you've got grass. You can see here there's a bit of grass growing in the joints. Grass seems to bed itself in quite a bit deeper. So you need a bit of power to try and get it all out. Obviously these bricks are laid on a bed of sand, so weeds, moss, grass will still grow back. The only way you can really prevent it is to do a sort of regular weed killing treatment every sort of 6 to 8 weeks, especially during the summertime. Just spray a little bit down. Hopefully it'll bed into the sand and keep the weeds at bay for a while. Right, we'll check back in later, hopefully when it's all finished. Okay, so clean's done. Just needs to be resanded. I'll come back tomorrow, hopefully, if it's dry. As you can see, massive difference. All the weeds and moss have gone. So yeah, check back in tomorrow, where hopefully it'll be nice and dry and we can sand it. Okay, welcome back. Back on this job again today, following day. It's been a nice day so far, a bit warm, overcast. Quite perfect really for a bit of sanding. So we're going to touch upon how to resand block paving. First of all, you're going to need kiln dried sand. I've heard people say, oh, silver sand, oh, I use builder sand, oh, I use sharp sand. None of that. Sharp sand, builder sand is too wet. It needs to be kiln dried sand, such as this. I've used various different types of kiln dried sand, Hansen, Wicks, Dial, you name it. They're all part and part the same. What's the most important thing is that it is dry. It has to be absolutely bone dry. Here's some that's already been laid out, and you can see it's like dry beach sand. If it's wet, it just clumps, it won't go into the joints. You can see that if you spread it, you see it falls into the joints, and that's what you want. You want all the sand in the joints. You need a couple of tools first, some sand, and a selection of brooms or a bucket. Most people like to use soft brooms. I find a good stiff broom's quite handy for getting the sand around, especially if you've got sort of quite wide joints like this, and then follow it up with a general sweep with a soft cocoa broom, soft bristle broom. So regarding the sand, varies in price, depends where you get it from. Anywhere from £3.50 up to about £6 a bag. Sometimes you get bulk deals if you buy sort of 10 bags or more. Driveway this sort of size. Just pan it round. It's quite large. Joints are reasonably wide. You're probably looking at needing anywhere between 6 and 8 bags. Each driveway uses different amounts of sand, depends upon how wide the joints are. So anyway, what you're going to want to do, using a knife or a pair of scissors, cut the bag open and empty it out. Don't be shy. Get it on there. And then I just take a stiff broom and just work it in. Just give it a good old push. Just get it around and you'll see it will just fall into the joints. Just run over, backwards, forwards. You're not putting too much pressure on, you're letting the brush do the work. I get my sand from Selco. Seems to be the only place I know I can guarantee that I'll get it dry. I've tried other places, but a lot of the time the sand's kept outside and it just picks up moisture. If it gets wet, it's absolutely useless for this. It just becomes like beach sand. It's wet and clumpy, won't fall in the joints. Basically, if you've got a wet bag of sand, pretty much chuck it in the bin. It's just not worth anything. So it needs to be nice and dry. And that's it really, just keep pushing it, work it in. Make sure the joints are nice and full. If you get any droppage in the joint, just go back over it. So once you've got it sort of, brushed around, should we say, take a soft broom. I like to go diagonally, just stops you from sort of trying to brush too much out of the joints, and just gently sweep. And there you have it. So just sweep it. You will get a bit of this that will just blow away in the wind. And there you go. I'm not going to bore you with the rest, but I'll stand back. Driveway this sort of size, you're probably looking an hour to an hour and a half to resand. I'll come back when the job's done. Okay, so the cleaning's done, sanding's done. There you go. All in all, took about an hour and a half. What I like to do after I've finished, if you're not expecting any rain, is to just dampen it in. So just mist it over with a hose. It just helps the sand stabilise, stays in the joints. Don't think we're expecting any rain. And obviously if it's windy, it'll end up just blowing out quite a bit of the sand. So just by misting it over with a little bit of water, I do say mist, don't spray the joints with, you know, a jet or anything, because you'll blow the sand out. Just mist it over, and it helps the sand to sort of stick together and bind for a while, you know, and drop into the joints nicely. And hopefully you won't get any droppage or sinkage in the sand. I've been doing this way for a while, never had anybody complain about sinkage or droppage of sand. So there you have it, cleaning, sanding, block paving, all done. Cheers, thanks for watching.